All right, so today we're going to dive into the mind of a leader who was really forged on the cricket pitch and then, truly tested in the political arena. We're going to try and understand, using his own words, the core mindset that took Imran Khan from being this huge sports icon to a really polarizing prime minister.
So, it really all kicks off right here with this quote. I mean, it's become legendary. Picture this. It's 1992, the Cricket World Cup. Pakistan's team is basically down for the count, almost out. And Khan, their captain, gives them this speech. He tells them to be like a cornered tiger. You know, that animal that's at its most dangerous when it has nowhere left to run? And wow, did it work. That speech became the rallying cry that pushed them to this absolutely improbable, historic win.
And that right there, that corner tiger mentality, this whole idea of fighting your absolute hardest when your back is against the wall, well, that's pretty much the essential thread that runs through his entire career. It's really the key to getting a handle on his approach to, well, everything, both on the cricket field and in the political arena.
All right, first up, let's break down this cornered tiger mindset and see how it was forged in the world of sport.
Now, this really gets to the heart of his entire strategy. See, he argues that being scared of losing is a trap. It forces you into a defensive mindset, and playing defensively, well, that almost guarantees you're going to lose. For him, the only way to win is to just go for it. Play fearlessly, play aggressively, and don't even think about the possibility of defeat. And right here is where he connects the dots for us explicitly. He basically sees captaining a national cricket team, walking out into a stadium packed with people, all that pressure on you, as the ultimate training ground for leading a country. In his mind, politics is just the highest stakes match you can play, and the exact same rules of responsibility and raw courage apply. Okay, so we've established the mindset. Now, who or what did he see as the nation's toughest opponent? In his political story, there's one clear villain, one main antagonist: systemic corruption. He pointed to this as the single biggest thing holding Pakistan back, the absolute root cause that was stopping any real progress or development from happening. And this is how he diagnosed the problem, and it's a really crucial distinction he makes. On one side, you've got the powerful ruling elite, the people who are actively rigging the system to make themselves rich. But then on the other side, you have the vast majority of people who are basically forced to play along with small-time corruption just to get by, to get basic things done. So for him, the solution was clear. You have to go after that first group, the architects of the system. So if corruption's the opponent, what's the game plan? Let's take a look at his blueprint for how to actually change things. Just look at this number for a second. It's pretty stark. He cites a World Bank study and claims that if you send $100 in aid to a school in Dera Ghazi Khan, but it goes through the central government, only $5 of it actually gets to the school. I mean, think about that. That single statistic just hammers home the urgency and incredible scale of the problem he's trying to tackle. So, in a big speech at the Oxford Union, he laid out this really clear 5-point plan to fight back. First up, a conflict of interest law. Basically, government officials can't be building their own factories on the side. Step 2, an independent accountability bureau, something modeled on what they have in the UK so it's not politically motivated. 3, and this goes right back to that $5 problem, is devolution. Send the development money directly to the village level, cutting out the middlemen. 4 is all about transparency. Make the leadership declare all their assets and taxes on a public website for everyone to see. And finally, number 5, criminalize benami, which is just the practice of hiding your assets in other people's names. It's a way to close a huge loophole. So you can see it's a pretty structured, actionable plan, designed to hit the problem from a bunch of different angles. But, having a plan is one thing, putting it into practice is another. Now we get to a real test of his conviction, his journey from the political stage to a prison cell. So here's what happened. Back in November 2007, General Musharraf declares a state of emergency, and an arrest warrant is issued for Khan. He actually goes on the run, evading arrest for about 2 weeks, but then he decides to surrender, and he does it very publicly at a university to try and rally the students. After that, he was thrown in prison, first in Lahore, but then they moved him to a notoriously harsh jail in DG Khan. He eventually went on a hunger strike, and that led to his release a couple of days later. And this is so crucial to his story. In his own telling, getting thrown in jail wasn't a defeat at all. It was a defining moment. He called it a formative experience that didn't break him, but actually did the opposite. It just reinforced everything he already believed about what was wrong with the country. Because on the inside, he saw the human cost of this broken system up close. A prison official actually told him that something like 60% of the people in there were innocent, their only real crime being too poor to hire a lawyer.
He met a 16-year-old kid who'd been sitting in jail for 6 years without a trial for a crime that, even if he was convicted, had a maximum sentence of just 1 year. And he heard about other prisoners who were locked up for years just because somebody lost their files. Suddenly, these weren't just abstract problems or statistics anymore. They were real people with real stories. And this is what brings it all full circle, connecting his personal experience right back to his main political argument. You know, all those stories he saw in jail, they made this abstract idea of rule of law painfully real. For him, this wasn't some theoretical debate anymore. It was the fundamental reason the nation was struggling.
So, out of this really personal struggle came a much bigger philosophical goal. The question is, what is his ultimate vision for justice? You see this dedication from his book, right over a map of the country. It really grounds everything he's trying to do. It's dedicated to his 2 sons, and maybe even more importantly, to the youth of Pakistan. And that really frames his entire mission as something bigger than himself. It's about the next generation. It's a fight for the country's future. So you gotta ask, where does all this resilience come from? Well, he points to something deeper, to his spiritual foundation. He describes his faith as the thing that truly made him fearless, the thing that liberated him from all the usual fears that hold people back. You know, fear of failure, fear of death, even fear of being humiliated. He argues his faith helps him rise above all of that.
And that brings us to a much bigger, more universal question, right? Forget about politics for a second. Forget about this one person. What truly fuels that kind of resilience in any leader when they're facing overwhelming odds? I mean, whether you agree with his approach or not, it kind of forces you to think about where that deep conviction comes from, especially when things look impossible. And we're going to end with this quote because honestly, it just perfectly wraps up his entire philosophy. From the cricket pitch all the way to a prison cell, the message has always been consistent. Look, defeat happens. Losing is just part of the game. The real enemy is letting it break your spirit. The true loss isn't the defeat itself. It's being demoralized by it. And that right there is the very essence of the cornered tiger.